Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at belisiofoods.com/careers.
This just in.
The Telegram News has a new website.
thetelegramnews.com.
Same dedicated coverage.
Same trustworthy news with a brand new look.
Covering Jackson and Benton counties and surrounding areas.
Locally owned and operated, theteleGramNews.com has its finger on the pulse of the community.
Stay up to date on local events, high school sports, and breaking news.
TheTelegramNews.com.
Subscribe today at theteleGramNews.com.
Check it out.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the morning show right here on Main Street TV. Of course, Jennifer here to start off your hump day with some friends from the Lillian Jones Museum. And, well, I guess both of you are no stranger to the program. You haven't been here in person, have you?
No, you guys came to the museum.
Yes, we came to the museum. But if people don't know who you are, would you introduce yourselves, please?
Well, I'm Ashley Aldridge, and I took over as the director of the Lillian Jones Museum.
I'm Joe Finch. I'm on the board of Lillian Jones Museum.
That's right. And so Ashley, if you could say that, I wouldn't say she's the new Megan because, you know, you don't replace people, but you have taken over Megan's job, Megan Malone, as they are kind of moving and doing some stuff. And so you got some big shoes to fill, girlfriend.
For sure.
Yes.
Megan and I always, it was a joke that big shoes to fill, but not because she has big feet, which it was our inside joke with each other.
That I could totally see.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us, so you guys are here to talk about an actual event coming up at the Lillian Jones Museum. And this sounds like a total blast. And it fits in perfectly with the show that James and I did yesterday when we talked about some area really cool haunted places that you can go visit this time of the year. Like, you know, the place in Athens. What's that called? The Ridges in Athens, or, you know, the Mansfield, you know, Penitentiary, and, you know, some of these crazy Moonville, some of these places around here that are haunted, and it goes. We talked about that yesterday, so it goes perfectly with that. And you guys are doing a ghost walk.
Yes.
First ever that we know of in Jackson.
Yes. This has kind of been Joe's baby that he has like really helped bring to life. But we are planning a ghost walk for Thursday, the 27th of October at 7 p.m. starting at the museum. And you have kind of collected stories and places around Uptown Jackson that we are going to go and visit and share maybe a little bit of spooky history.
Oh my gosh, this sounds so fun.
James, before we started, I said, James, Google my birthday. Did you find it?
So, no. So what did you want me to search?
You stumped the Googler master?
So you don't have your birthday on Facebook. Okay. And he told me to search Paul Joseph Finch.
It's Paul Joseph, yes.
And yeah, so the first thing that comes up is a Paul Michael Finch obituary. And then there's a Joseph.
Ooh, even weirder.
And then there's a Joseph P. Finch.
No.
And there's a Joseph Finch phone number. This is
really.
This
and
is
it doesn't
like
have my birthday is not out there in Google land.
No, it doesn't look like you come up when you Google your name, unless I spelled your name wrong.
Well, it's
I spelled it right.
October 31st, 1956.
Oh, that's your birthday.
That's my birthday.
It's Halloween.
Halloween.
Fun.
Well,
yes.
Nice.
You need to update your Facebook.
I do.
Because it's not
It's
on
also,
here.
I was born on my mother's birthday.
Oh, wow.
This is also Halloween.
That is really
Just a little
strange.
background there that might explain a few things. But I got to tell you that this doesn't come naturally. I've had to grow into this because I was terrified of Halloween growing up when I was little.
Really?
Yes, my 5th birthday in kindergarten. My mother asked me, "Would you like to have?" Birthday parties weren't as common back then as they are now. You know, every year, every child gets this huge birthday party.
Yeah.
They were just a once in a while thing. And she asked me when I turned 5 if I'd like to have my kindergarten class come to the house. And I said, well, yeah, great. Well, as the date approached, they noticed, I can remember, they said, what is wrong with you? What is wrong? And I was real despondent. And I said, I don't want them coming in costume. I'm afraid of my own kindergarten classmates. And the costumes then were just these plastic happy things. And my mother,
those were creepy enough.
Well,
so creepy.
Yeah. My mother had to get on the phone and call every parent and tell them not to dress their child in Halloween stuff to come to. Can you imagine that she had to do that? It's ridiculous.
No, it's not.
No.
If it bothered
I can imagine how hard she rolled her eyes.
Oh my God.
She's like, Jesus.
Hello, Mrs. Smith. This is Mrs. Finch.
Halloween birthday. Now he doesn't want a costume.
Don't send
party.
Susie in that little princess costume
I
because Joe's
already
afraid of her.
bought decorations.
My big wuss of a kid is gonna cry.
That was how that went. And we had the party and they came and it was fun. And I think though I was over, by the next year, I was more into it and so forth. But that's just a little funny background there.
I feel like something happened to you that scared you that maybe you don't know.
I don't know.
I feel like there's some hypnosis.
It sounds hilarious now, but but
no,
just
it
the
was
fact
a real
that,
thing.
I don't know. It just did not want them in our house in costume. I probably was afraid of myself with a mask on. I probably looked in the mirror and like,
yeah, maybe.
I have a 5-year-old and they're highly illogical about what they're scared of.
Yeah,
kids are just.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, does that making you feel better already?
Yeah. It's just funny that I like
kid.
this stuff now, and then didn't then. I do have my daughter, my poor daughter, who's now 30 and a teacher, will be listening to this. And we had a family thing where we would take rides around Halloween, and we had this big Oldsmobile I bought for my parents, and we would take. My son Jonathan was older, and he wasn't afraid, but she was. And we'd go to see these displays that people have.
Yeah.
And we'd pull up in the dark to them, and particularly find a good one. And then I would go through this thing where I would shut the car off and roll the windows down and act like there was something wrong with the car. And, and my daughter would be in the back saying, go, Dad, go. And I'd say, I just can't get it started. So I was telling that story to
this is from the guy that we're supposed to be feeling sorry for when he was
sharing the
sharing.
trauma with the next generation.
And so I was telling that story. I taught 9th grade science for decades up at Wellston, and I was telling it to the 9th graders. I mean, if you want to know what's going on in the community, talk to 9th graders. They've got their ear to the beat, and they know what's going on. And they said, if you like that kind of thing, you need to go drive her by the Colton Spook House. This is way back in the 80s. They had a spook house up there. And I said, why? And I said, well, she will never go in that. And they said, well, just drive by because they have these people out front dressed up that kind of front people to lure you in. And that is really scary the way they're dressed up. And you can do your car thing to that. And I said, okay. So the next night, here we go. Dusk. We go to Colton. And I look over and I see these like tree stumps in a backyard there. And there's 3 witches on them. And I thought, oh boy, they were smoking, and I thought, witches need a break.
Yeah, they were
taking their break behind the haunted house.
Very 80s.
And so I said, look, there's an alley.
No, they're just the Marlboro
So
witches.
here we go down that alley, and I do the car thing, and I shut the car off, the windows go down, and they're looking, and the oldest one starts to stand up and is walking towards our car. And I'm going like, yeah. Really, really rub it in, lady. Come on. Yeah. And my daughter's going, go. And right at the last minute, she gets up to the car and I get it started and the windows down and we go off and I'm like giving her a thumbs up, thanks. And it worked. And when we went to go get hot chocolate or ice cream or something and laughed about it the rest of the evening.
After I tortured her.
Okay.
It was fine.
Well, the next day at school, I told those ninth graders, I said, hey, thanks a lot. That was a great idea. She was terrified for a while and so forth. And I said that part about the alley and the witches. And they said, there is no alley. What are you talking about? And I said, well, yeah, you look over to the right there and there was an alley behind it. And that's where they were all taking their break. And they go, there's no alley. There were no witches last night.
No.
I said, well, it had to be. And we drove down and they said the spook house is up by the old school. It's on the other side of town. That was someone's backyard.
Okay.
We as a family have never been back to Colton, Ohio again.
I don't think I'm
we
going
have not
either.
been back there. No, nice town. But I don't know who we saw and what I almost did. But
You almost let the
she even said,
Sanders
hi,
get you.
little girl. She sounded like a witch. Yeah,
Well, it was all the cigarettes she was
I
smoking.
don't know what. I almost sacrificed our daughter. But
Oh goodness.
those were the good times. But
That was
I keep
great.
when I've been going around lining up these places, I keep thinking of that story and so forth. And I've had some other funny experiences. I went to graduated from Jackson High School in 1974, so it was off to OU.
Sure.
OU didn't start till after the Apple Festival back then. So when you arrived, it was already fall. And I kept hearing about how great Halloween was at OU and so forth. And I joke and said that I was part of the first class that ever went uptown. I could have been because it was just a small thing then. But I remember right around Halloween going to a movie with a bunch of freshman guys. And we went uptown to one of the theaters up there. And if you've never been in the 70s to a movie in Athens, the crowd easily outdoes the movie that's in the theater.
Okay.
They're rowdy and crazy and you can forget that. But the movie was Young Frankenstein. And that was a great movie. And I don't know, it's a cult movie. Have you ever seen Young Frankenstein?
I have not.
Oh my goodness. Young Frankenstein's a great one. It's filmed in black and white. It was like a takeoff on all the old horror pictures.
Okay.
And it was
He's
Mel
telling on
Brooks.
himself all day
Mel
long.
Brooks was the producer, and it was hilarious. And the premise of it is that Dr. Frankenstein has died, and his grandson has inherited the castle. So he's traveling to Transylvania to see what he inherited, and he also inherited his assistant, the grandson of Dr. Frankenstein's assistant, who his assistant was Igor, but he's Igor in this movie. And it's Dr. Frankenstein. now.
Frankenstein.
Yes. And
there it is.
yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the song and dance act that they had Frankenstein do during the movie.
Okay.
He got so lively that they had him in a song and dance. But see if you can find a close-up of Igor, James. He wears a hood. Igor is going to lead our ghost walk. He's a friend of mine.
Okay.
And he's going to lead the ghost walk.
Cool.
Yes. And it's funny because this is Wednesday and Igor has a big hump. And one of the famous lines.
It's Igor Day.
One of the famous lines from the movie is he said, there he is. Yes. Marty Feldman is that the surgeon, Dr. Frankenstein, says, I might be able to help you with that hump. And Igor goes, what hump? You have to see the movie. But
that's some creepy stuff.
Yeah. That's Abby Normal's brain. See in the background there, it says abnormal. And he dropped the real brain he was supposed to get. Oh. Because he saw his reflection in the mirror. Scared him. So he goes and looks for another one and he thinks it says Abby Normal as a person. Person's first name Abby. Last name Normal. And there he goes with Abby Normal's brain. And you have to watch the movie. It's good.
Okay.
But he's going to lead our walk.
All right.
He's a friend of mine.
Very good.
Yes.
Igor. Awesome. So this will be Okay, so we're not going to divulge, from what I understand, we're not going to divulge the places today that you will be going, because that would just ruin the fun.
Yes. We can drop some hints.
Okay.
Yes, we can do that.
So how have you two or whomever gone about accumulating people and places with ghost stories?
That has honestly been like you.
First thing I just put on Facebook, an open thing. Tell me your ghost stories about Jackson. And some of them were the area, which are great, our county and so forth. And then the ones I was paying attention to were ones we could walk to from the museum. And then we put some parameters around it. We wanted it to be a walkable, an hour or so walk from the museum and doing a circuit around uptown area.
Okay.
And then back to the museum, which one of the most terrifying things is in the upstairs of the museum.
Yes.
There is something up there
that we still don't know what it is.
I saw it once. That's the last time I ever want to see it. Yes.
Yeah, it's weird.
It is up there. And that is one spooky upstairs, that attic of the museum. But that would be the final stop.
Yeah, hopefully the bat doesn't make a...
Yeah.
I've had a bat friend in there.
Hey, he's just eating the mosquitoes.
It's going to be the final stop, all right.
That's it. And then we're never seen again. But we have cookies. You get to eat a cookie.
You get to eat a cookie before you meet your demise. It's fine.
We'll make it work.
Amanda Crabtree has helped as this one. She's on the board, and she's the president. And she's got a lot of contacts in the area. So she's reached out to some people. And, we're and again, there's a work in progress. We got some just yesterday. We added some. And we're, got to work out. Sometimes we'll stop in front of a place and I will talk. Or Igor will talk, and sometimes a person will come out.
Okay.
But in two of the places, we're going to go in. And the two places we're going to go in, it would probably, this could be once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Or at least once every year at the Ghost Walk, maybe.
Okay.
Yes. And they are just downright spooky. Just in themselves. If you didn't even say anything about them.
Yeah, just getting to go in.
They are spooky. And they're very unique to Jackson, Ohio. I will say that.
That's really cool. And, we have some beautiful old homes and businesses and things like that. And I'm sure that there's so many stories, even that aren't spooky, about some of the places, but definitely some spooky ones. I have, some spooky stories of my own. Maybe I'll share with you.
I'm amazed at when I start talking to people that they live in that house. Like I would have moved to Antarctica or wherever it took.
Right.
In a little hut or something. Because I was like, and you just stay there with
this thing,
whatever it is, and it's, I'm not a big believer in ghosts myself. I'm not, again, I taught science for years and years, and I kind of feel like everything can be explained one way or another, but by golly, if it can't, I'd be out the door.
Yeah. I'm telling you, we lived in a house on Pearl Street for 10 years, and our dogs would routinely stare at random corners and just stare, and it's like, I don't know how I feel about that. What's there?
Oh, can you tell me?
Yeah.
I think dogs just do that I think they get on.
I hope so.
And they thought, let's stare for a while. It's near Halloween.
Yeah, we're just gonna mess with mom.
Let's mess with them. That could very well be true.
You know what I feel like, and I've talked about this on the program a lot of times, and I don't know because it's really hard. But a lot of us put life to inanimate objects. Yeah. We have these emotional responses to whether it be, a baby blanket or whether it be, but a lot of it is around energies of buildings. And if I just think that there are, like James was saying, where was it you said your friend worked yesterday? The Mansfield?
Yeah, she volunteers and does tours of the Mansfield Reformatory where they film Shawshank Redemption.
And at this time of the year, but she loves it. She loves being there. She feels comfortable there. Where, some people would be like,
skin
terrified.
Crawl.
So obviously she has a good rapport with that building. And I just feel like that's actually a thing where you go into a building or, there's things that you get along with the same as people. And there's energies surrounding all that stuff.
I'm worried that Igor is going to freak out and take off.
I know. What are we going to do if we lose Igor in his hump?
Oh, no.
What hump?
But what hump?
There was I went on a ghost tour in Athens. Athens is that
Oh yeah,
legendary. You know, all the
So much- well-
supposedly the cemeteries in a pentagram.
there's
and-
a lot of real stuff
Yeah.
that happen in Athens
and
that are
so
creepy.
one summer we all signed up, my family, for this ghost tour on a bus thing, and it was during Brew Week. They have Brew Week
Yes.
up there. You're probably familiar with that.
I'm very familiar
Yes.
with that. Yes.
And so we thought, it's okay. Let's go to this. And we signed up, and we get on this it's like a limo bus, one of those long, low buses that doesn't have bus seating. It's like wraparound.
Yeah.
And apparently you can have beer on those.
Yeah.
Because they had a cooler of somebody's homebrew beer,
Cool.
that featured on that bus. And it just so happened that they were having this thing for elementary teachers, professional development, and they stayed all night. And a bunch of them got on our bus.
I bet they were wild.
Within 15 minutes of them getting into that beer, I couldn't hear the ghost stories. Again, it was like the movie theater audience. And that became the show. Where you take a bunch of elementary teachers in June, put them on a limo with beer. The ghosts were run out of Athens.
Yes.
But it was fun because we went around and there was a cemetery stop, and I kept moving up closer to the front of the bus so I could hear the guy. Yeah. We actually got out at the lake out there, and we had these sticks like you walk around to detect some kind of energy.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, we got to do that, but it was fun. It wasn't scary at all. Make sure those women made it back to those dorms or whatever. That's kind of scary.
Well, that's true. That's true. But so in Jackson, so how many stops do you have on this walking tour? And you say it'll take about an hour to walk around, you feel like?
That's our guess, but it may be slightly longer.
Yeah.
It depends on, we're not going to go real fast. And it's kind of hard to.
Yeah, it's not a marathon. Like we're not like competing.
I've been leading tours out to hikes out to Lake Catherine. It's real hard to judge those.
Yeah.
How people, when they go on something like this, it's not for exercise. They want to hear and they want to take in history.
Yeah,
and get a little exercise too. And so those have taken longer than I had estimated, just because of all the stops and the questions and
I
answers.
think right now we're around 10 stops.
Yeah. Yeah,
Could
we're
be
right
more.
about
And it'll be kind of in the downtown area. So I guess I'm just thinking if somebody's like kind of worried about, I don't know if I can walk that far or whatever. Like it won't be a really.
I think I was laying it out on Google Maps, and what I have right now is from the museum back to the museum is like 1.8 miles.
Okay. So there you go.
You want to wear good shoes,
Yeah, be comfortable.
It's probably going to be cold.
Wear a sweatshirt.
And maybe some light colored clothing. And our leader has a lantern, but I would advise people maybe to bring little lights just for safety for cars, a bunch of people crossing the street here and there. Because we do have to cross a lot of streets. It zigzags around and so forth.
Yeah. Okay.
Now the uptown, of course, is all lit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the perimeters are pretty much, a lot of it's on Main Street, Broadway, South.
Pearl,
a lot of Pearl. Yeah. And, again, good walking shoes. It's not going to be, every time we stop, we'll be resting, a little bit there.
Sure.
So,
and you'll hear a story. It'll be fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is October 27th. So that's a Thursday at 7.
Yes.
Now, how do you get to participate in this? Do you have to sign up? Is there a charge? What?
Yeah, we are doing registration, and that is going to go live right after the show today.
Oh, okay.
As soon as I get back to the museum and click that button, it's going to go live on Facebook. So there is a registration form. You can either do it digitally. I've set up a form for that, or you can print it off. And then we're asking for a $10 donation just to hold the spot.
Okay. Very good. And then, so the Facebook is called what?
It's the Lillian Jones Museum Facebook.
Okay. All right. So you should be able to find that. I'm sure James will put the link in there because he's the link master. He probably already did it, didn't you?
I'm working on it.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
So so you can go there, you can print out the form, or you can fill it out right there and send it back
and then just either drop it off at the museum if I'm there, or you can put it through the mail slot or actually mail it.
All right. You have to stop by and see Ashley today because she has the cutest candy corn sweater on that you've ever seen in your life. And I'm going to steal it from her after the show.
I will run. This is like I overwear this. I'll have this on at least 20 times probably in the next month, like every time you see me.
I love that. That's so fun.
Now, one question that's come up for me is the age appropriateness of this.
And that's a good question.
We kind of decided that without giving it away, I know one place that you would not want to take children if you want them to be somewhat normal the rest of their lives. So,
okay. All right. Gotcha.
We did put a disclaimer about.
What did we say the age? Middle school?
I think I said like not really recommended for 13 or younger. And if you're 17 or younger,
you have to have a parent.
Like a parent either needs to be with you or signed off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically. Yeah. It's not a kid's happy Halloween walk kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know.
We don't want anybody to get
freaked out.
We don't want them to be like 5 like you. And
we don't want our children
afraid of little Susie in the princess costume.
Exactly.
Which she wore to Sunday school, but not our house.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. All right. So can you you promised you would give us a few hints about what the guests will experience without giving all the stuff away because we want you to, have fun with it. But
Phantom of the Opera. That's a hint.
Okay.
Funerals.
Funerals is another hint. Yeah. And a lot of, I know one of the stops is in a book, a nationally known book.
Really?
Yes. And I photocopied it from the library uptown, and it's documented in that book. And we're going to stop there, and someone's going to come out and talk to us there.
Ooh.
Yeah. And some of them are, just people who have said, well, this house this is the way it is, and we won't go in their house probably, but we'll stand out front and hear the story.
Yeah.
And I don't know what other hints. A very, very popular restaurant.
Yes.
Which you're probably familiar with.
Yes. I can tell you some stories from that.
So, it's, and again, we've added here, we're going to add a couple. We'd like to even add more, but I'm afraid time and distance wise for our first one, since we don't know. I know the Chillicothe one, what they have done is they give you, I was up there this year, but I wasn't part of it, but I just happened to be in Chillicothe and I saw it. They give you a list of places uptown, and you can just walk to those whenever you want. And there's a person standing out there that tells.
I see. Okay.
Tells what's going on.
So you don't go
as
a group. You go to whichever one.
Yeah, it's like self-guided.
You're self-guided.
Cool.
Yes. And, that's, and it's in the daylight.
Yeah. Well, that's no fun.
So ours is in the dark, definitely.
Yeah. It's like these people that I was a proponent for years of moving trick or treat back to the night. We were making a bunch of wimps out of kids. They're scared. Like, if you want some candy, you're going to have to work for it. And you better get out in the dark and be scared like everyone else did, like we did when we were young. Kids today.
I know. It needs to be at night.
Yes, it does.
It does.
We have a very famous local historian who will be involved.
Okay.
We're going to hang out with him for a little bit.
Cool. Very good. I'm scared.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Igor has terrible jokes. I can afford it.
Funny. They're funny.
Yeah.
Funny, terrible jokes. Well, so you have to think, how are these stories made up by these folks? Did it really happen? Some have been in books. So, it's been documented. You have to it's interesting. You drive by these places every day of your life.
Yeah.
And you might not know something.
I think we've got a good mix of
of history,
and
then question marks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of them are just by nature, just by the nature of it. If you didn't tell any story at all, a couple of them are just spooky.
Yeah,
places.
just the place themselves.
Year round.
Yes.
In daylight even. They're spooky. So.
We're definitely hoping this goes well, that we can make this a yearly event.
Yeah,
and grow it. And
Yeah.
I mean, number one, it's informative, but number two, it's just fun, and you get some exercise along the way.
Sure.
Why does it, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I have a feeling that since we've never had one, or that nobody has that I know of, there's been talk that I think it'll be very popular.
I think it will be too.
People need to register as soon as they can, because we just can't handle huge throng of people.
Yeah,
it just won't work, especially in a couple of places that we're going to go in.
So register early because they will cut off at some point. The people, and that's good. And plus, it's the first one, so you just got to see how it goes.
Yes.
Ghosts.
Yes.
Pun intended.
Hopefully, there won't be any witches in someone's backyard.
That is a little creepy. I will say.
They're part of it, and they're not part of it.
Well, no part of that.
Yeah.
That is super creepy. And they were smoking.
Yeah, like I said, I thought, oh well, they're taking a break.
Oh gosh.
Even witches need breaks.
Yeah.
So true. Okay, so you brought some other fun kind of like facts to talk about area stuff, right?
Oh, our area is, what's the cemetery? Salem Cemetery is.
So I
that was
mentioned
the high
that
school
yesterday.
classic.
So we all went out there because it was supposed to be devil worshippers, and there was all this stuff. It was supposed to be really haunted, and I'm just going to admit I spent a Halloween night out there, and I didn't see anything. But the history popped in because it was so interesting to walk around and read some of the the gravestones, and didn't mess with anything. But it was interesting to read some of that stuff.
Now, I had friends in high school that took their buddy out there and they dumped him. and left.
That's so mean.
It was so mean. They went back and got him eventually, but yeah, they kind of dumped him off.
If I remember, didn't you have to walk like over a bridge isn't there something out there that you have to go over a ditch, or you have to?
Oh, it's been so long.
I don't remember. But yeah, Salem Cemetery.
For sure.
So this says, well, you can talk about it.
Well, I mean, I've been there. I did one of those things where I scared my daughter again.
Oh gosh.
We were taking her. I said, I got to get out and use the bathroom. Okay, everybody just stay in the car. And all I did was walk around to the side of her car. I had a little flashlight, and I pulled my hoodie up and turned that light on her window.
Trust issues.
I don't know how she turned out the way she did.
Sorry, Jacqueline. Sorry.
Poor Jackie. Yeah. That's the entrance to it, right, James? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's like a building out there that I think it's a church, an old church. And I think they've since started using it again.
Yeah.
Okay. Back when. That's why I think all that folklore, because it wasn't being used. So it was just kind of like.
Supposedly you can hear the organ play at night. I've heard those stories.
Yep. And they say apparitions of Civil War soldiers, which that would make total sense because there's the church. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it looked a lot worse back then. And, but the Civil War, of course, Berlin Crossroads, it's kind of out in that direction. Yeah. The battles of the Civil War and things like that happened out there. And so I think there's a lot of Civil War soldier ghost spottings in our area because of that.
Yeah. Part of ours goes back way back into the 1800s.
Right.
So one of our stops is definitely geared toward really old history in Jackson.
Yeah.
And it's kind of gruesome, that one, I will say.
Yeah.
That's another reason we wouldn't want little kids to go.
Yeah.
That part's kind of gruesome.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's like, it's funny that you just have that once a year need to be scared.
Yeah.
It's like you're flipping through where's the cheesy Halloween movies that I can watch and be scared.
Oh yeah.
Where's Children of the Corn when you need it?
I watched this when I was a little kid.
I know.
Every Sunday evening there was a show on when I was a little kid called Outer Limits. And I was drawn to that. It just terrified me. And I couldn't sleep on Sunday nights, but I had to watch it. And it was a lot like it featured something and it had weird music and I don't know, that was way back in the 60s.
I did that with the X-Files.
Oh, well, the X-Files
against my mom's
great.
wishes.
Yes. Twilight Zone, saying like freaky weird stuff.
Yeah, they used to say, do not try to adjust your TV.
Yeah.
And I believed that.
Yeah.
Like something would happen if you went up and changed the channel. You were stuck watching it.
Did you ever watch The Crypt Keeper?
No.
Does anyone remember him?
No.
The creepy. I wasn't allowed to
James,
watch that
you did?
either. Sorry if my mom watches this.
Yeah, it was like a weird little like.
Now he looks
zombie
comical
puppet thing.
when I
Yeah.
look at him, but
But it
as
was-
a kid,
yeah.
he was super scary.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that was creepy.
Saturday nights, there was something called Chiller Theater when I was growing up.
I remember
11:30
Chiller
after the news. They had Chiller, and if you watched one now, it would be hilarious. But they
Yes,
were
but back
terrifying.
then it was scary.
They were the
Yeah.
worst black and white scary movies that.
It's also now it's called Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. Of course, growing up, we had the happy ones too. You know, the Addams Family.
Sure.
That was I remember that was prime time when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And the Munsters.
Yes, the Munsters were great.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I haven't seen that forever.
Herman
Love
and yep.
Then
all
there
the
was even a
gangs.
soap opera that I would watch after school that was terrifying called Dark Shadows.
They remade that into a movie
Did
a
they
few years
really?
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it was about vampires in this big
Yes.
house, and it was the 30-minute soap opera.
Yes.
Very serious. It was not funny, but yeah, Dark Shadow. James, see if you can find that Dark Shadows. A picture of Barnabas Collins. I still remember the.
Well,
They did.
Barnabas Collins.
They
Yes.
made it into a movie.
Did they really?
And
How long ago was
Johnny
that?
Depp
Yeah,
played.
I'll find it.
him.
Johnny Depp.
Really?
Yes. It wasn't a
Okay.
bad movie.
Huh.
I accidentally,
A little campy.
I accidentally typed dark showers instead of
Dark.
Oh,
and it all came up pictures of like bathroom.
I'm like, yeah, we don't want to. That
We've
that
got
could
James
go,
off his game today.
That
here.
could go in
He's
a real
rattled.
bad
He's
spot.
rattled. You know,
I can remember being terrified by a movie. So when I grew up, my parents had the Marquee, right?
Yeah.
And that was the movie theater in town. And so I spent a lot of time up there because they were there. And so I think just to get me to shut up, they would just let me watch whatever movie was there. And I can remember there was this movie called Prom Night. And it literally, I had nightmares about that movie for years. Scared the living tar out of me. And I'm sure if I saw it today, it would just be like, whatever.
I can remember as a kid going into the Marquee, happy as can be, getting the popcorn, getting the pop, and coming out. It's like, yeah, there it is. Coming out, it's like Jackson was a whole different world. Whatever evil was in that movie was right uptown there.
It was right
Yeah,
there.
you're trying to get to the car and lock the doors, you know. And but it's the slasher movies never really scared me. It's the ones that scared me were those. Look what we found on the baby video kind of movies, where like you're being
like
drug
the
across your
mental
bedroom at
things.
night
Yeah.
on the
Poltergeist.
video. Yes.
Poltergeist. Oh
That
my
stuff.
God.
That ruined my life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah.
And those found footage, like Blair Witch.
Blair
Holy
Witch.
cow.
Blair Witch was such an anomaly, and it was
I remember
so good.
I remember watching that and then going out and riding my mountain bike by myself in the woods.
And you're like,
It's like I'm riding with Blair Witch. She's right here with me. Yep.
first time I see a stick going
Oh.
some weird direction, I'm
Yeah.
out.
No, that
No more.
was
Or rock formation.
that was a strange. There was a lot of other movies in that genre. Those found footage things.
Yes.
After that, I haven't seen one lately. I think they kind of played that out.
But what you're describing is all like mental, not actual. I mean, to me, the mental
So much
thrillers
anxiety.
are the ones that are the worst.
Well, you never
Yeah.
saw the Blair Witch. Nobody played the Blair Witch. She was not in the movie.
Do you know?
She was this unseen force.
I did not know this until I watched it the other day, and why Jamie and I watched it the other day, I have no idea. Do you know the first Friday the 13th movie you don't see Jason?
Really?
And it, well, number one, it's his mother is the killer in the first one, which I didn't remember, but you don't see the killer. It's just like all these people just end up dead and you don't see the killer. So the first Friday the 13th movie is that way. It just messes with you. You're like, what is happening? All these people just end up dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch it.
Hey Jen, I've
Yes.
got the trailer to Prom Night here. You want to watch it?
Is it the old one?
Yeah, it's the one that
Yeah, 'cause
scared
they
you. when you
remade
were a
it.
I
kid.
don't know that I really want to, but okay.
All right, let's see if I can get this to work.
Okay. It's terrifying. It scares me. And I remember I think they poured blood on or something on her head. Oh, God. It was horrible. Prom night.
Look at the telephone.
This is ridiculous. Oh my God.
Oh, that's creepy.
You understand as a small child why I was terrified. James is laughing at me.
It's pretty good.
It pretty much explains a whole lot of why I am the person I am today, right? Yeah, but I just remember like having horrible nightmares about that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway. So what are some of the other things on here that are in our local area that you can go and visit?
The Harvey Wells house, they've worked on that. At one time, it was really spooky looking.
Oh, yeah, when it was all boarded up.
Yeah, they've improved that.
But they say Harvey Wells, it's possible that he is there himself, catting around.
He was an interesting character.
Yes.
He never gave up.
You got to wonder about these supposedly ghosts, though. I always wondered, what are they doing?
So
why are they,
Well, so I didn't realize this. In October of 1896, Harvey.
Yeah, there's the Harvey Wells house.
Jumped from a second-story window, fracturing an arm and a leg, and that actually killed him. Led to his demise.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, witnesses have reported seeing his apparition standing in the window from where he had leapt. When the property was used as a nursing home, employees said they could hear ghostly footsteps in the middle of the night when no one was walking around.
That's another creepy trope, like abandoned nursing homes.
Well, yeah, that's what that was. Yeah, it was a nursing home.
After because it was his house. He built the house, and then Ridgewood Cemetery up there as well. Shadowy figures have been seen.
That looks right out of a movie there. Look at that.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah, the Bates Motel.
So is that house still there?
Yeah.
And then
they've improved it, I think, gradually to restore it.
Oh, is that where that's where the Historical Society meets, right? In Wellston?
Yeah. Or that's their project. I don't know whether they meet there or not. But.
All right. And then I don't know where Scott Horn Road is. Do you?
I
do you know?
I don't know either.
A ghostly woman has been standing by a pond where she had drowned along Scott Horn Road. Legend says that if you say her name, Vera Moulton, 3 times, you will smell a strange odor and see glowing near the pond.
And someone's always got to do that too.
You've got
someone's always got to be the person that's let's do it.
You're that guy, aren't you? Yeah. And then Oak Hill, of course, the Central School Building, which that's not there anymore, is it?
No.
Supposed to have been haunted by a little girl. And then the Oak Hill Cemetery, a spirit who knocks over tombstones and appears in front of people at night, is said to haunt the old isolated cemetery. So those are some local area things. But on your ghost walk, you're going to see here in Jackson things.
And it is amazing how it all unfolded, how people said, oh, yeah. One of them, when I was in, talking to him about getting access, and just as because, again, getting in the building is spooky enough.
Yeah.
I just happened to say, I said, now, you have never seen anything in here. And they said, oh, yeah. There's a man with a black hat. We saw him looking out the window several times.
Okay.
It's like,
sure.
I would have been out the door,
Yeah. I don't know. Or do you just make friends with the ghost?
If my dogs were really staring at something on Pearl Street, I never, it always felt safe. I know it was like a benevolent spirit, apparently.
Maybe there are good.
Maybe there are. I'm going to believe that.
Yeah.
Maybe they come back and just say, hey, I miss you guys or something.
Or
hang out here.
Or hey,
what are you doing in my house?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, hey, can we hang? Let's party.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, why not? But there's a lot of historical buildings, and with historical buildings come a lot of stories and
I always thought it would be neat to just have a tour of upstairs Jackson. The whole uptown. If you could go in every one of those upstairs up there. Some of them have been made into really nice apartments, you know, and I don't know what else. There's that one lodge above where, when I was growing up, it was G.C. Murphy's.
Yeah.
There on Broadway, the Red Men. We talked about that in our museum meeting.
Order of Red Men. All kinds
of the letters are still up there for that.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. If you look.
Yeah.
Still, I think it would have been Stifler's store and G.C. Murphy's.
It was
if you look at the very top of that, it's got the letters.
It was like a community service organization, but they basically appropriated Native American culture.
They weren't Native American.
They were not Native American. Yeah. It's disturbing.
Yeah.
And we found out about it.
So they were okay.
They had this, and then they had a woman's group too.
Yeah. Oh goodness, I should know this.
What were they called?
It is it the Order of Pocahontas?
Pocahontas.
It's something with Pocahontas. It's all very, very disturbing. They did a lot of really good things.
Yeah, for community service.
You're just
but in like the worst
under the
banner
of of the worst thing you could possibly do.
I always assumed that when I heard that there was indigenous people that were in this,
and
for sure,
tribal people, and no, they were not.
I mean, I guess you have to think that it wasn't malicious and their heart was in the right place.
Yeah,
I would like to think.
Well, like out at Lake Catherine, Camp Arrowhead was all set up with tribes and the Native American kind of thing. It was that era. It was Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett, and
not
all that.
A lot of people thought a lot about it at the time, but thinking back about it now probably was not really the most appropriate.
Yeah.
There's a really great episode of This American Life where they talk about like Native American cultural appropriation and like boys camps and stuff like that.
Okay.
They like spend the summer like at a camp and like do this sort of documentary with like the kids and everything. It's really, really great.
And and that would be very interesting to watch. But again, I don't think no one was trying to be malicious by anything. They were just.
No, the group around here actually raised enough money and donated an ambulance to World War II, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, they were charity
Megan
group.
had really been big on, and I am too, about collecting all this information from women's clubs.
Yeah.
Which was the Order of Pocahontas, which was the women's version of the improved Order of Red Men.
Okay.
And so we have like a lot of these documents and like their club rosters and like all they did, and they did a lot of really wonderful stuff, just maybe not under the best banner.
Yeah. But that's okay.
It was all upstairs above the dime store.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Who would have thought when I'm getting my goldfish in there that was going on?
There's
I had a goldfish or two.
IORM is still on the front of that
it's still
building.
on there.
Okay.
Nobody ever removed it. I assume the group's been long gone.
I didn't know what it was until Megan told me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll bet you're finding out all kind of crazy
so
stuff
much.
from the museum. Yeah.
So much.
About Jackson history and the area. So so we definitely will cover this again, and we want to make sure that you all go to sign up for the Lillian Jones Museum Ghost Walk. Go to Facebook. You can sign up there, or you can print out the form.
Yes.
It's Thursday, October 27th at 7. It's like a little walking tour of the area of Jackson, and you can hear some ghost stories. But what are some of the other things that you all have planned at the museum since you're here?
Well, I am working. We had an intern this summer, Jillian Evans, and she graduated from Jackson High School.
Yes.
She's at Miami now.
Yes.
Which I try not to have too hard of feelings about being an OU person, but
me too.
we kind of have good people that go to Miami.
I bet they sit quietly in theaters in Miami.
They probably do. They probably do.
Yeah, maybe.
But before I had started, they had taken a donation of a World War II scrapbook that a Jackson resident, Carmen Fillinger Irons, had put together for all of her brothers, her husband, and her brother-in-law. They all served in World War II.
So cool. I got to see some of that.
Yeah.
We got to see some of it when we came to do the video.
And she spent the whole summer kind of cataloging and doing that. So we are working to get an exhibit of that scrapbook, but all of our World War II stuff, hopefully kicking off around Veterans Day.
And that's so neat because that is history, number one, that's dying every day. Unfortunately, our World War II veterans are there's very few left, but it's like real lived history. It's not like a book that you're reading about something. It's like those are letters that she received and wrote from.
And she did the scrapbook's like 209 pages, 11 pages long. I mean, she kept everything. and it's all organized like by brother, by everything.
That is insane.
Yeah, and Jillian did such an amazing job for us, like cataloging all that, and she is definitely the expert. So we wanted to be able to do an exhibit to showcase her hard work, but also because it really gives you that Jackson County perspective on World War II
and what they were living at the time, and what it was like, and their feelings, and
and between all of them, they served like all around the world in the Navy and the Army and the Army Corps of Engineers.
Wow.
So yeah, be on the lookout for that. That's coming in November.
Okay. We'll look forward to that. That sounds fun.
Yep.
Once we get everybody out of the attic.
Yes.
Is that going to be the thing? Or are we all going to go to the attic and poof, we're gone?
I don't know whether I'm going up there or not.
Poof.
I went once.
The bat eats us.
Once is enough.
I haven't ever been up by myself yet. And I hate that to admit it. And I'm there during the day, and I still like... I haven't been back upstairs by
What
myself.
are those things that the women would put dresses on?
Mannequins?
Like a form.
Oh, yeah, we've got a couple
The first
of those.
thing I saw was one of those. There's Lillian. I'm out of here. And because it was dark and you could see the shadow. And then there's another object up there that you just have to see.
Yeah, that we're going to show everyone. That's not the worst. The worst is in the carriage house. We have an old Victorian-looking baby carriage. That I actually don't. Spooky. And somebody thought it was a perfect idea. There's a doll in it. It about ruins my life every time I have to go out there.
Yeah, my mother has one of those, and I'm like, Mom, it's looking
museum.
at me. I don't need it to stare at me. It's freaking me out.
It's unique in that it was a private residence. It's not a building museum. It's a house. And it still seems like a house in there. The kitchen and everything.
Yeah, and I mean, just Lillian herself was just such a. I mean, the stories and just, I mean, the life that she lived within those walls and outside of the walls, certainly with her travels and all of that. And she was some lady because she would just take off and go on her own.
Yeah.
Yes. All over the world.
She was really awesome. And you think about it at the time period she was traveling, like, especially that last time, like late 50s and 60s. I mean, like she was in Japan 15 years after we dropped the A-bomb.
Yeah. Like what? Who does by herself? Like who does that?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't do that today. Like,
yeah, you get worried traveling alone, especially as a woman.
Correct.
She definitely was a force, and we have her pictures at the museum of everything she took, and she just was so many random people. Like she just snapped their picture, and we don't know if she asked or.
She just thought they were interesting.
Just took pictures. And Megan said that she was like notorious for just like crashing weddings. We have a lot of pictures of her.
I heard that.
Like her taking pictures of weddings.
Yeah.
In her travels. So,
yep.
One of the coolest things for me in the museum, and Megan and I used to joke about this because she'd keep me out of there because I wouldn't leave, is in the carriage house is an archive of Jackson newspapers.
Oh, yeah.
For decades and decades and decades and decades.
I think the farthest one we have back is 1858 or 59.
Oh wow!
And it is the real
Pete Wilson did Pete Wilson have a byline in that paper?
Pete Wilson he had just become the editor.
He's just like
he was in kindergarten.
He's a fresh new writer on the beat.
But that you can pick out, like it'll give the range there on that binder of months and years. And if you just instant history, start looking through the paper, it's the ads that are interesting. You know, it's the stores that were here and how they advertised and the grocery ads.
The old yearbooks are great for that too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh, that place.
Yeah.
I remember it, or I had no idea that something
Terrible
like that was
accidents. It was the headlines. There were a lot of car accidents.
Oh, really?
Yes, and with no safety equipment. And I remember growing up, they had 60-mile-an-hour speed limits when I was growing up, but you had no seat belts, no airbags.
That's true.
There were terrible accidents just right here in town. And that was big news in the paper back then.
Wow.
Oddly enough.
Now, can you go in and are the actual papers there, or are they?
It's actual paper.
Yeah, they would take like a whole year's worth of papers, and then they're in there in like these huge leather-bound books with the year on the outside.
Great big books.
You can go like January to December, and they're like probably as long as this table. And, and like the size of the newspaper.
It's not a microfilm thing. It's actual paper itself.
Yikes.
And you can lose days.
Yeah.
I can't crack them open unless I'm specifically looking because I will just flip forever.
I remember we had a board meeting back there once and I missed the whole meeting
Yeah.
Because I opened up one of those and they're like, Joe, you there? You there? Oh,
You
yes,
know what
yes.
that is? That was the first TikTok.
Yes.
Yes.
You can't get out of it.
You can't get out of it.
It's like Pinterest and TikTok. You can't get out of it once you get into
on that
it.
scroller coaster.
Yes. It's like somehow I am, 7 subjects deep in my Pinterest at this point, and I don't have a clue where I got there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, those are, I mean, it is. It's the same thing.
Well, I went through a 1912 paper looking for an obituary and found a thing where someone had went for a marriage license, and the fiance had told his potential wife that, you're going to have to stop chewing gum. And apparently, that would have been bad enough, but apparently she drug him out in the hallway and gave him such a talking to that they came back in and he said, you can do whatever you want. And they reported that in the paper.
No.
Yeah, he was going to make her stop chewing gum, and she did not have that.
Good for you, sister.
All the old Ed Clark columns are in there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I can remember we would be out and about and see him come by our house. We'd wave at him and we'd say, we'll be in the column. Watch, get the next paper. He saw us, the Finch family in confab. He would always put or something. So you could, they're
so
pretty
funny.
neat. That's the neat part of it.
We have that big picture of Ed that was the picture that always ran with his column. But
Yes.
we have the 16 by 20. And
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I tell him good morning a lot now that I'm there by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't think Lillian wanted us to go upstairs.
No.
I don't think
maybe
she would
not.
approve of us going up there, really. I really don't.
She never wanted people in the house.
Yeah.
If you came to the back door, and if you were lucky enough to get in the back door, you stayed in the little receiving area off the kitchen. Yeah.
What's in the basement? I've never been to the basement.
The basement's creepy. I'm not a basement person. It's creepy. There's nothing really down there. We have her washing machine. That's still there. Her 70s or 80s washing machine.
Yeah. There's no museum things, objects that didn't make display. They're not down there. Or anything
it's
that.
Some of the Christmas decorations, but not a lot else. It's a low ceiling. It's the old concrete floors. It's dimly lit.
After going to the attic, I think people wouldn't go down there.
Probably not.
I won't go I don't want to go in the basement by myself.
Well, I was telling James, and this isn't a creepy story, but to your point about Lillian, and she was a fascinating lady, of course, but I went to Kennison Elementary, which is not there anymore, but it was on the open lot beside the Baptist church there, and where the upward football and all that is. And our playground ran behind the school, which was adjacent. There's an alley in between to Lillian's house.
And that small brick wall.
And there was a small brick wall there, but inevitably there were many, many kickballs and things like that that ended up in her yard. And I mean, I can remember the aides just being tough.
Yeah.
Do not go into her yard. And so we were always as a child, I always envisioned this spinster old nasty lady that was going to come out with the witch and the broom and just beat the tar out of us if we went into her yard. So it was that was off limits.
Yeah.
So now it's funny to see pictures of her, and I don't know that necessarily she was that way, but she was a little fussy about who.
From what I understand,
got to be in her
when they
stuff.
ran out of play balls at Kennison, Bill McDonald, the principal,
He was
would
my
make
principal.
a formal visit to Lillian, and she would dole them back out one ball at a time. And then there's this one, and then there's this one that
Megan
came over
has
on
told
Tuesday.
that story.
And this
So
one
I'm not crazy, James. So that is a true story.
We always said that would have made a good children's book.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that you do they go when they're no, don't go, don't bother. You start
just think
thinking
she's-
oh my God, she must be awful.
It's like the Sandlot, the dog
Yes,
and the
absolutely.
It's this whole story that's been made up that's so not true, but no, that she did not want the kids in her yard, and I guess I kind of understand why, because it would have never ended.
She was particular. She wanted things a certain way.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. Well, we have a minute left. Let's go over the Jones Museum Ghost Walk one more time. We're excited about this.
All right. Well, it's going to be on Thursday, October 27th, 7 p.m., starting at the museum. Registration is going to open well, give me like an hour to get back to the museum and put it live. But it's going up on our Facebook and being shared out. And if you have any questions, the contact information is there. But we really hope people register, people come out, and
then how do they get the donation to you to get officially registered?
That's going to have to come to the museum. So again, we have the mail slot. So if it's outside of the hours that I'm there, you can put it in an envelope, label it, and stick it through the mail slot, and it'll be safe, locked up in the building. So that can happen, and then you can do the registration. You can either do the form online, or if you want that old school paper, you can print it out and do it that way too.
If you can get your printer to work, right?
If you can get your printer to work.
That's a whole other discussion we had before. Printers are the devil.
Absolutely
the devil. Which is another story that James and I talked about yesterday. But anyway. All right. Well, thank you so much, you two, for coming in. This has been so fun. And anytime you have something going on, please let us know at the museum. And whenever you want to drop that sweater off, just feel free.
I love this.
She's like, I'm not taking it off.
I can't.
Till winter.
No, I'm wearing it now to Thanksgiving.
I love it. All right. Well, have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for spending your morning with us, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye, everyone.